Alright, welcome back to my videos that are not really videos because I cannot get my video recording to work on my laptop. So, this week's story installment of Destiny 2 will be the last in a very long time, not because of recording issues, but because it made it very clear today that this is going to be the last story entry until we do the actual Savathun ritual. And there were many, many, many hints that this is not going to be for a while, and this is the last time we will speak to Savathun or do anything with Season of the Lost Story for quite some time. So the last kind of entry for everything, the last radio message, the last Mara Savathun conversations are not going to be for a while. Pretty much the reasoning given in the actual story is that we have to wait for, quite literally, some sort of astral alignments, and in the meantime, keep fighting off Xivu Arath from screwing up the ley lines, which just means running these activities, running astral alignment over and over again. So there is sort of a lore explanation as to why we are continually grinding those out. But Marasov kind of ends up putting some sort of super additional lockdown spell on Savathun, so she can't mind talk to us anymore. So I don't know, some sort of extra crystal. This scene is actually in the lore that you get from listening to this week's radio conversation, and it kind of has Savathun trolling Mara with a lengthy kind of speech about how they are essentially the same, where they are powerful women that have issues with family and don't like being vulnerable. And she just lists 50 reasons why they're the same until Mara tells her to shut up. Mara puts this super crystal spell on her, and then Savathun does not talk anymore. Not 100% sure why she didn't just do this in the first place, but this is where we're at now, and she's pretty upset with Savathun about telling Crow who he was and the truth about him. We don't hear from Crow at all this week. Last time we heard from him, he was on Venus. For some reason, I still don't really know why he's on Venus, and nothing is elaborated on that this week. There is a radio message between Glint, Crow's ghost, and Petra, where Glint calls in to ask if Petra knows what Savathun showed Crow, and Petra assumes that she showed him the truth, or some shade of the truth, where Uldren was corrupted, and we killed him with Petra. And he did all that to get Mara back. I don't know if she could have showed him stuff way before that too, unlocked all his memories from his time growing up with Mara and all that. And that would give him a reason to sort of not like Mara if he now has additional context for their former relationship where she was very manipulative. That conversation sort of ends on a positive note where Petra assures Glint that Uldren and Crow both really love people. I'm like, wait, who's Crow in love with? And she's like, oh, he loves you, Glint. And I'm like, oh, okay. So no actual crowmances with anyone. So we get a new Sparrow from finishing the Wayfinder's quest, an exotic Sparrow that has lore attached to it, and that is Petra talking to Joylian, who is an Awoken who was friends with Crow back in the day and went on a bunch of missions with Crow. I think they went to the Black Garden together. I probably should have looked up Julian before this episode recorded, but I know they were close before. I think there is some sort of fan movement where they were maybe in love or something. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that I know someone somewhere has said that. I don't know if it's canon or not, but I've definitely heard that before. Joyland is kind of whatever about Uldren being alive again, even though he's not really Uldren. And he's like, yeah, it's probably better he just stays dead, or, I don't really go down that path. So it does not seem like they will be reuniting anytime soon. Did not really get the they're each other's loves of their life vibe there. So maybe that was not really their relationship, and he's just kind of okay putting the Crow who used to be behind him. What I thought was the most interesting story thing this time was a new line I heard at the end of Astral Alignment, which was Mara issuing an order to Petra to I forget when the timeline of this is, but maybe once they do whatever they're doing with Savathun, the order was to evict. I think it was to permanently remove Spider and his associates from the Tangled Shore. This is not the first time we've heard about this. The ghost lore for the Battle Pass this season talks about Spider being really scared that Mara's back and trying to ask the Drifter to smuggle him out of the Tangled Shore because he thinks she's coming for him. This makes a lot of sense, both because this region is something that should technically belong to her and the reef, and she doesn't want some fallen baron sitting around owning it. And also, I'm sure she's heard what... I think this was a line of dialogue a long time ago, too, where she's heard what Spider did to Crow, where he knew that he used to be Aldrin, and he found it amusing to make Crow his little puppet and to put a bomb inside Glint and to essentially threaten Crow's life until we freed him. And I know she is not super pleased about that. So Spider is... That sure sounded like, hey, Petra, go assassinate Spider to me. I would love some sort of freaking story mission where we go and murder Spider. That would be hilarious and awesome. I'm not expecting that to happen. I think it would be very cool, and if that was the plan, I would love it. But again, not going to expect that. So we have a couple options here. So I know some people have used this as evidence that Forsaken and the Tangled Shore, or just the Tangled Shore, or something, is going to be Sunset with Witch Queen. That is going to be the thing that is content vaulted. And it does resemble like kind of the evacuation storyline, where they started coming up with story reasons as to why people should leave those regions because the pyramids showed up. So this would be a reason, to potentially consider the Tangled Shore being removed if Spider leaves, because Spider is like the main NPC of the area. That said, I stand by my theory that because Bungie invested time in finally making Scorn champions and finally turning those strikes into Nightfalls, I just don't think they would remove Forsaken or Tangled Shore before during Witch Queen. I maintain that either EDZ or Nessus is probably going to be the zone to go instead. And it just, like, I understand how story-wise it can make sense, but it just doesn't make sense any other way. You could obviously come up with some sort of situation where Spider is smuggled off the Tangled Shore and ends up in some, like, deep, dark corner of the tower, now that the Elixni live there too, and he continues to be our material vendor there, and we just sort of hide him from Mara for reasons. I don't really know why we're loyal to Spider in any capacity. He does seem like he'd be better off dead. I'm okay with just killing Spider and then letting somebody else sell us materials. I don't think Spider has really added much of value for a while, and I'm still kind of sore at him for how he treated us in the past and makes it seem like we should be like scared of him, even though, he's just a very rotund fallen. I feel like we could just murder him if we wanted to. I don't really understand why we're so scared of him. But this does seem like a story development that may happen. Again, the other reason is that it seems like Bungie needs to make Forsaken free rather than paid content before they remove it. It would be very weird to be like selling Forsaken up until, the Witch Queen launches, and then a week later, like, all the content is removed from the game. So I feel like you would have to have a period of that content being free. People keep saying this is like part of Steam's terms of service or whatever. I don't know if that's true. And yet it doesn't really make sense that you would, sell Forsaken up until the day the Witch Queen launches, and then the next day it's gone. That's just, all the stuff they removed before this was free for a good long time. So this is why I think it's the EDZ or Nessus that's going, not the Tangled Shore, even if Spider does leave, and that is a story development. Obviously, we have to, like, fix things like Crow still being in Spider's lair at this point, which is really weird. Like, there's some reshuffling that has to be done there for sure. It does not seem like we are going to be breaking the curse of the Dreaming City this season. There are a few lines about that of like, if we remove Savathun's worm and we already killed Curia, like, is that, how we remove the curse of the Dreaming City? And then Mara says like, it's a step, but it's like, there's more to it than that, and doesn't really expand on that. So I do not think we are ending the curse of the Dreaming City, which that would be a very good reason to sunset the Dreaming City if we just kind of cleanse the curse and there was no more curse cycle, no more Taken, no more enemies. That would be a pretty good story reason to do it, and yet it does not seem like that is going to happen here, at least not this season. In terms of this season's story, I think we are on a break for a very long time now. So next week is Festival of the Lost. Festival of the Lost lasts about a month. We are going to get additional difficulty options for the seasonal activities, which I don't know what that'll reward, hopefully tier 3 stuff. And then also Grandmaster started this week. So we are having like quote unquote content And then November is going to roll around. I don't know what's going to happen in November. I don't really have anything specific on my radar I can think of off the top of my head, so that may be a bit of a dead zone. I think Bungie knows that November is a crazy month for holiday releases, so maybe they're not going to push anything super hard there. December, early December, 2 days after Halo launches, is the Bungie anniversary event. That is a big deal. That is launching with a ton of stuff all at the same time. And then around this time, I would assume maybe at the exact same time, is the Dawning. Maybe the Dawning launches in November this time around, is just for something to put in November and lasts a little longer than usual. I'm not sure. And then we have Moments of Triumph. And I just don't see the story picking up until like January, February. And like obviously Witch Queen is at the end of February, but it may very well be like several months before we kind of return for the final chapter in the story, which is a little awkward and made more awkward by the fact that this is a 6-month-long season. Because if this was a normal 3-month-long season, we would only have like, I don't know, a month and a half to wait, and now we have like 4 months. So a little weird, but I do think that's where we're going. The story this week makes it very clear that this is over for now. Savathun is going on lockdown. I do not expect to log in next week and see anything relating to Season of the Lost story. It's just going to be Festival of the Lost stuff, and I expect that to continue for a while. So these little reset updates will go on hiatus probably after Festival of the Lost, because I'll probably do one for Festival of the Lost as we figure out what the deal is now that we don't have the Haunted Forest and we have Haunted Lost Sectors instead. I will do something on that, but yeah, actual story stuff is done for a very long time probably, and the next major thing is going to be the Bungie anniversary event, which I think will have like some story stuff. Like the dungeon will have like voice work and things like that, but I don't think it's not going to have anything to do, I don't think, with Witch Queen, and I bet it's going to be something else kind of self-contained that has nothing to do with the season. So anyway, that's where we've ended up, and I'm probably going to go play New World now. Okay, I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.